Hi, I'm Reverend Ron, and it's Tuesday, February 23rd, and welcome to our Rooted Reflection for the day. We are making our way through this Lenten devotional this year called Wilderness, and I really love the fact that it's very artistic. It kind of draws on many parts of our lives. There's some beautiful pieces of art in here, there's some poetry as well, and then there's some just open space in addition to the reflections. But it's the open space that we turn to on this day. And there are invitations to do some journaling and some reflection. So I'm just going to read you the prompt for the day and then tell you what I'm thinking about. It says, identify something in your life that's beginning or just got started. A new job, a new relationship, a new chapter, a new interest. What is your prayer for this beginning? So as I was reading this, it got me thinking about all the ways that we get stuck, right? All the ways that we get caught in routines and patterns and ruts. And one of the things that Lent does is drawing us back to the elemental parts of our faith, to get real basic with God. It gives us a chance to break out of some of these death-creating patterns and habits that we form. It's why we give stuff up for Lent, actually. We walk away from something so that we can make room for new life. And I've been thinking about how I am always drawn to new things, and I love to try out new patterns. When I'm on my bike, I've told you I've been riding my bike all through this COVID season, and I think I've discovered about every nook and cranny in all of Annapolis, but it makes my ride much more interesting if I don't go on the same path all the time. There are some basic runs that I know. This one is a 5-mile run and an 8-mile run and a 12-mile run and things like that. So it's useful in that regard. But I've discovered so many new neighborhoods and so many out-of-the-way places that I never would have been. And I'm even trying to do that in my walking around my neighborhood right now. And so that I don't just take that same path. And Lent calls us to do that in a much deeper way spiritually as well. Not just to change the physical paths that we are on, but to change our habits and to change our ways of being and our ways of doing things. As I was thinking about newness, some of you know that I just had a big birthday. I maybe just turned 60, apparently. It's kind of news to me, but everyone's been telling me that that's what happened. And so I kind of now at a reflection point of thinking about what's it like to be in this new decade of my life. My role has changed. It's very different than it was 20 years ago when our girls were younger and our primary role as parents was to help them in school and do some of the things that you're doing. But now my role is to be grandpa to Charlie. And my role is to be a different kind of father to our now 27 and 30-year-old daughters and their husbands and fiancés and a different kind of husband to my wife, Holly, at this stage of life. So how am I living into those roles in new ways at this point? What new things and new behaviors and new possibilities are there at this stage of life? I'm also aware that Lent's a great time to try on something. Sometimes we think about giving something up, but it's also a time to maybe try on a new habit or a new practice. Lent is a great time to read different kinds of books on prayer and the spiritual life, for example, or just to try different ways of praying. If you've always been the kind of person that prays extemporaneously, maybe this is the season when you look up some of the great prayers of the church and you use those prayers to guide you. Or vice versa, if you've always used written prayers, maybe this is the season where you just kind of trust your own heart and your own words and you pray to God in a different and a fresh way. This book is encouraging you to use the arts a little bit, and our workshops are encouraging you to think about how do you pray through painting, and how do you pray through song, and how do you pray through photography. And April Doss is leading a great workshop on creative writing. How do you pray through writing, and how do you use those gifts within you to create something new? On Sunday morning for the last year or so, ever since we've been in this pandemic, and our Sunday morning rituals have been very different here. It's been a very, very small crowd on hand as we've been live streaming our services from the very start of this pandemic. But one of the things I've done, one of the new habits I adopted back then was I was going to stop every week at the Carlson's Donuts and Thai restaurant in Annapolis. And over the last year, I've gotten to be kind of good friends with Ta. Now, Ta is the woman who waits on me and always sneaks me extra donuts. I mean, I order a dozen donuts and I swear I cannot get out of there without at least 2 dozen donuts that I bring here for the tech team and for the worship team that morning. And it's one of my ways of making a gift to the team and supporting them, but she is way more generous than I am, and she outgives me every time. And we've developed this nice rapport. We see each other week after week. Sometimes I see her during the week. I ride my bike up and we'll buy a donut from her on a weekday morning as well. And the thing is, she doesn't speak much English at all. She speaks just enough to get by and help run her shop, and I don't speak much Thai at all. But I've decided this Lent to help deepen that relationship. I'm going to go on Google and I'm going to go online and I'm going to just learn some basic vocabulary and some basic phrases in Thai so that when I go into that space, we can connect more deeply. And it will at least be an effort on my part. It'll show her that I'm trying to connect to her world. It's something new that I'm going to do this Lent. So what new thing do you have in mind for yourself this Lent? Will it be a new prayer practice? Will it be reading a book? Will it be taking up an artistic hobby of some sorts? Will it be just opening yourself up to new people or new experiences? This is a season that invites us into new life. We journey through the desert. We journey through this time of getting our hands dirty in the dirt and digging in the dirt and planting these seeds so that God can grow new life in us. How will you be transformed? How will you seek to change this season? What new is in store for you this Lent? Amen.